Hello everyone, Omar Kazarski here, Creative Director of Bauer Web Solutions. We can be found at www.bauerwebsolutions.com. And in this short video, I just wanted to go over some basic terms in regards to WordPress sites. So here we have a plain out-of-the-box WordPress site. Doesn't really have a lot of visuals or colors here, but I'm just using this as an example to talk about some of the basic terms, and then in future videos we'll get more into the mechanics of behind the scenes as far as the administrative dashboard as well as procedures for creating a post or editing a page, as well as creating the menuing system and a short introduction to shortcodes. So very quickly here, on a typical WordPress site, bear in mind that each WordPress site will look different. They might have some of these elements in different locations or maybe going in different orientation or directions, but for the most part, all WordPress sites will have these common elements. Most WordPress sites will have the name of the site, which in this case we're calling Bauer Web Solutions WP Demo 1. And sometimes too, in the top left-hand corner of the site, there might be a site description, where in this case it just says a sample blog site. The whole top area of a WordPress site is usually referred to both in WordPress terminology as well as just web design technology in general as the header. So things that appear on top of all of your pages in a global sense are referred to header elements. And one of the elements inside of that top header area would be the navigation bar. In this case, we have a navigation bar consisting of home, about, and blog. So in this particular case, this would be called the main navigation. Some WordPress sites, depending upon how they're designed, might have a secondary level of navigation, maybe someplace in the top right-hand corner that might have links to privacy information or contact information, so on and so forth. So while we'll call this main horizontal area the main navigation, in some sites you might have a secondary navigation. All right, and that also bears in mind too that sometimes within the main navigation of a WordPress site, if you have additional subsections, they might have drop downs to go to those different sub levels of your navigation. All right, going down the page, the main area where most of your content resides is usually referred to as the main content. And for the most part, it can be divided in a couple of different ways, but usually in most WordPress sites, it's organized in one of two ways. It's either the main content takes up the entire width of the workable area, or in this case, we have it divided into two columns, the left-hand side being the main content and the right-hand side being what's known in WordPress as a sidebar. Okay? So in WordPress, we have this convention known as a sidebar in which you can add little blocks of content or programming known as widgets, and we'll talk about widgets later as well. In this particular default installation of WordPress, within the sidebar, we have a widget that's showing us the search bar as well as recent posts, comments, archives, etc. And I'm going to come back to the difference between posts and pages in a moment. And then finally, on the bottom of every page would be your footer elements. All right, so we have the main areas of header on the top, the main content in the middle, and the footer on the bottom. And in dealing with the main content, we can either have the main content take up the entire width of the screen, or there might be either the left-hand side or the right-hand side designated as a sidebar. The last thing I just want to mention is the concept of pages versus blogs. In this particular WordPress site, we have one page dedicated for home and we have another one for about. Most WordPress sites are created for the purposes of creating a blog. A blog is a series of posts. If I look at the blog section here, we can see we have a bunch of various postings here. So within WordPress, you can create either a blog post or a web page. And what is the difference? The main difference is that blogs are, you consider them like time-related news articles. So if they're on a time-sensitive basis, every time you create a blog or an article, it's posted in chronological order of your site. And posts can be categorized into different categories or tagged with additional information to help better organize it and help other people find it throughout your site. Whereas a page is just static content, things that are not really time sensitive or change all that often, like your about page or perhaps a contact page, things of that sort. All right, but this will give you a basic overview of some of the basic terminology. In our next video, we're going to get introduced very high level to the administrative backend, or what they call the dashboard, to allow you to maintain and make edits to your site. So once again, this is Omar from Bauer Web Solutions, www.bauerwebsolutions.com.